Next slide, please. Our agenda today will be a quick overview about Marquee 360, an overview of what we call PPM Lite. Mia will present the demo, and then lastly, we'll have Q&A. But we don't have a lot of time, so if you wouldn't mind posting your questions in the chat as we go along, we'll get them answered. And I'll also be sending out the recording of this afterwards. So a little about us. Marquee 360 is a project and portfolio management gold partner with Microsoft. And actually, we've been a finalist for Partner of the Year over the last couple of years. Our company was founded by former Microsoft employees, and our team has 20 plus years in the industry. We work side by side with Microsoft's technology team, so we're kept up to date and we keep our solutions up to date. And our expertise is digital transformation using best practices to collaborate with whatever your Microsoft 365 suite is. And then we kind of help fill in the gaps, identify your wish list, and make it happen. Make it as accessible and easy for your PM team. So our core focus is on our customer successes. We act as a trusted advisor, and our key focus is obviously to enable better user experiences with your 365 suite. Our solution is out of the box, so it's yours once it's implemented, and we have no monthly subscription fees, etc. And we're here to support you from start to finish, and also in the future. So I'm going to be putting my email in the chat, and anyone that would like their own personal demonstration with their team, just shoot me an email, and we'll get it on the books. And with that, I will hand it over to Erin Boyle.
Awesome, thanks, Megan. Mia, can you scroll to the slide that says Microsoft Platform Setting Business Goals? Perfect, thank you. All right, everyone, so like Megan said, we specialize on the Microsoft 365 platform. Graphic gives you a little bit of an idea of what products we're utilizing on that platform. So we use Project for all of your task and work management needs, that light project management. And then we utilize Power Apps to give you some more functionality. So you'll see tabs for risks, issues, and then we get more into robust project management with managing resources, portfolios. And then we utilize Teams to collaborate and bring it all together into one place. If your team likes working inside Teams, then they can do all their functions in that one place. And then we utilize the Power Platform, so Power Automate for all of those approval processes in the background, just to give you some more automated workflows. And then bring it all together in Power BI for your reporting needs. Along with that, we also have, so that's your one connected platform that manages your whole project lifecycle from intake all the way to reporting. That can also be broken down because it is built on the Power Platform. We can take those, that functionality and break it down if you don't need the whole, Megan says enchilada. So that's stuck in my head. So if you don't need the whole enchilada, it can be broken down into our app suite. So if you just need intake, we can break that down and give you our intake app. If you just need help with timesheets, cost tracking budgets, if you just want report packs, we really like to just give you what you need and not make you pay for things that you're not going to use. All right, and with that, I'm going to pass it over to Mia.
All right, thanks, Megan. Thanks, Erin. So today our focus is going to be on what we call PPM360 Lite. Before I get into what PPM360 Lite is, I first need to say that the latest offering from Microsoft for project and portfolio management is Project for the Web, okay? We're going to take a quick look at Project for the Web out of the box from Microsoft today, and then what we'll do is start to look at PPM360 Lite. Project for the Web out of the box is mostly related to scheduling, all right? And the scheduling tool when it comes to project management is obviously very important, but along with scheduling, there are other things that you might want to track, like issues, risks, some general project information, maybe some status reports, and that's where PPM360 Lite comes in. So what we do is we use PPM360 Lite to allow you to be able to run a full project, but not really, tracking too many details. The Lite version allows you to have the amount of detail that your organization needs. And we have a couple of different options. So we'll look at PPM360 later on, but our goal today with PPM360 Lite is to show you how we can use it to manage your project details in one central location. We'll look at how to manage tasks and how to manage other project artifacts as well, like issues and risks and status reports. And one of the things that I hope was clear in the previous slides is that we do focus on having one connected platform. So we try to make it so that you can get to everything you need using one interface. So you don't feel like you need to open up, 10 tabs and each one has one different thing that you need for the project. When you're managing that project, you can do it from one place. All right, so that's some of what we'll see here today. All right, and with that, I'll jump in and we'll start a demo. For today, we can't really get into PPM360 Lite without making sure that we're all on the same page as far as project for the web. I think that most of you that are attending today are at least somewhat familiar with project for the web. Maybe you've heard the words before, but I want to make sure that we all start from the same place. And to do that, I do want to make sure that we take a quick look at the Microsoft platform and see where everything comes into play. What I'm sharing on my screen now is the Microsoft project homepage, okay? Anybody with an Office 365 license, getting to the app launcher can load project and it opens up this homepage. This is Microsoft's central location for getting to all the things you would need to manage your project. If you're using Project Online, right, there's a link to Project Online listed here. You can see a lot of my recent projects are here, and I've got a combination of Project for the Web out of the box. Some are PPM360, some are Project Online, but all of them display in this one area. And then also for Project for the Web, your entry point is here. Or start with a template or create a roadmap. Now, the first thing that we're going to look at together is Project for the Web out of the box, okay? Just so that we all understand what it is and what it includes. I've already created a project for the web project for us to view today. It's called Webinar Project. And what we'll see here is a very simple schedule. This is Project for the Web out of the box. It's got, some high-level project information. So as I start to enter in tasks, those will roll up and display data here. It's really quick and easy to add tasks here. The whole purpose of Project for the Web, what Microsoft did when creating this is they incorporated feedback from, project managers, both seasoned project managers and incidental project managers. What they did with that feedback was create a tool that is very simple. The interface, as you can see, is very easy to use. It's fairly intuitive, right? So we can see we can enter in a task name here. We can quickly go ahead and assign this task. We can set up a duration. There are other columns that we can add in here as well. With each one of these tasks, we can open it up and view more details. This is kind of a planner-like look and feel here with buckets and checklist items. We can fill in the effort, dependencies, attachments. So there's a lot that we can do in here as far as the tasks on a schedule. One of the things that Microsoft has also done to make this really easy to work with is they've added these different views. So for seasoned PMs, this kind of grid view is usually pretty helpful, and we're used to it from other applications. But then with the board view, it makes it more planner-like. Planner is a really simple interface you can use for task management, and being able to, drag and drop something to make an assignment is really easy in an interface like this. Imagine also on a mobile device, right? Being able to swipe or drag and drop on the computer. It's all really easy. With the timeline view also, if I'm more comfortable with doing things like adjusting a task duration, or maybe I'm more comfortable with setting my dependencies through here, right? It's really quick and easy to make schedule updates. I don't need to know exactly how to set the dependency. All I can do is just click and drag and, there it is. So this is the Project for the Web interface. Like we said, very simple. You can choose how you interact with it, which makes it easy for anybody to adopt pretty easily. The great thing here is that, scheduling is pretty simple with this tool. The thing that we want to talk about a little bit more today, though, is what happens when you need to do a little bit more. In addition to managing a schedule for a project, we all know that sometimes we need to do, capture some basic details. Maybe we want to capture what department this project is a part of. Maybe we want to look at what issues or risks came up while we were working on this project and document those for later use. Maybe we even want to have some reports, right? So what we're going to look at is M360's solution for that. That solution is called PPM360. And I have a different tab open with PPM360. So you can see at the top here, we're in PPM360. PPM360, you may or may not recognize this, but it's built using Power Apps, right? What we're looking at here is a model-driven Power App. I'll give you a little bit of orientation since we're looking at something that's a little bit new, perhaps. What we'll see on the left side is our menu. We can use this menu to navigate to different areas. Right now, we're on the home page. It's got a roll-up of different charts and different information from the projects that exist in this system right now. But it's a quick way without having to get a license for reporting or anything like that to be able to see where things are. If we look at the menu, just kind of quickly, it's a little bit of a side note, but there are things like project requests here. And there's an approval process that M360 has created to go along with those. There are portfolio and program management, resource management, Power BI reports. I just want to point out that we've already created a couple of webinars that deal with those topics. So please reach out to us if you want to see a webinar specific to that or have a demo that's personalized related to those items. And then, of course, keep an eye out for our future webinars because we will be talking about all of those topics in more detail. For now, we're going to move from the home page. We're going to go over to projects. We're going to look at a project that was created using PPM360 Lite. So on this projects page, we're seeing a list of my active projects, right? All projects that are owned by me and that are active. I am going to hide this menu just because I personally like to have a lot of space. But on this list of projects, what we'll see is that there's a project that I've already created for us. It's called PPM360 Lite. When I open up that project, we'll get to see what this Lite project looks like. The first thing I want to show is this tasks area here. Okay, there are these different forms that are associated with the project. If we look at tasks, this should look very familiar. When we looked at Project for the Web out of the box at the very beginning, this is essentially what we saw. Different tasks, of course, but the different views that we saw here with the board, the timeline, right? The ability to update our tasks through here. All of this is, this tasks area is Project for the Web out of the box from Microsoft, right? Microsoft is making all kinds of great updates here to make this really sophisticated, but still keeping it simple, which is no easy feat. But if we go here, we'll see that we can even do things like check the critical path, right? Which could be very complicated, but this is a simple toggle switch on a filter that makes it very easy to visualize this critical path. So there are all kinds of fun features like that. Microsoft is releasing more and more features as time goes on. So this part here where it's quick and easy to manage a schedule remains. And what we've done is add some of the things that you'll need to run a full project. Now that we've looked at the Project for the Web portion of this, I do want to look at what PPM360 Lite adds. So first, the top row here has some general controls. This is where we would save our project after we make some changes, or save it and close it. Next, if we go from the top down, we'll see that there is this section here with a workflow, okay? Now this workflow is optional. Some of our customers have a detailed workflow that they use already. Other customers that we work with may not be exactly ready for a workflow yet, right? Either one of those situations or anything in between can be accommodated. If you do have a workflow, it could display at the top like this. Your phases would be here, and then you can choose if you just go, to submit from one stage to the next, or you can choose if there would be an approval step in there, right? So all of those options are possible. One of the things that we do at the beginning of an implementation is talk with you about requirements and what information you need to capture, right? Because what we have here built out is based on best practices and based on customer feedback, but every organization has its own unique needs, right? So we'll talk with you about what you specifically need to see. So next we have these different tabs. We saw the task tab earlier. Now I'm on the summary tab. The summary tab is exactly what it sounds like. It's got general information about the project. Now you can see that there are different fields here. There are different field types that can be listed here. Some of these are really cool because they're relational, right? So if there's a hierarchy where there's a parent project and then child projects, or if there's a list of programs or portfolios that this project belongs to, you can list these here, and these fields will look up to see what exists already, right? So some of these can be calculated, some of these are required, some of these are just recommended. There are all types of fun options here. So I'm not going to go into detail about the specific fields that are listed here because, again, those can vary based on your organization. But I do want to point out one field that is pretty important. It's the Microsoft Teams and Planner integration field. And note that this is set to yes on my project. What this means when this is set to yes is that in Microsoft Teams, we're going to have a team created that represents this project. Okay. I've got a tab open with Teams in it already, right? We could also just go here and, open up Teams. But in Teams, I'll show you here, this PPM360 project exists here as a team. I'm sure some of you use Teams, maybe some of you don't, but Teams is a great place for collaboration, right? I can quickly go ahead and see if somebody's tagged me in a post or if they've reacted to an IM that I've sent. I can chat with anybody in the organization or people outside of the organization as well. I can view all the teams that I belong to and make my contributions there. My calendar's here. I have a list of tasks that show up here also. So there's all this great stuff that we can do to collaborate with our team. In contrast, typically when we're working in a project management tool, that collaboration isn't there. So what's important to us at Marquee 360 is to bring these things together. So we can look at this PPM360 Lite team, right? And under project details, what we'll see here is everything that we were just looking at in the browser. I'm going to expand this tab because I like to have the space, but the summary tab that we just looked at, right? All of that's right here. The controls we had where we were saving earlier and the workflow, that's all here too. So if I am sending IMs to Erin and Megan about a project, maybe to see, which program this should belong to, or, I could probably pick a better example than that. But if we needed to talk about something, I can quickly go to the project from this Teams interface. So that makes everything really come together. And I don't have to pick and choose, to use the best project management tool in one tab and then, the best collaboration tool somewhere else. They all are together. So we can go ahead and make some of our project updates and look at some of the items from Teams. I'm using the browser version of Teams just because I'm using the desktop version for the call. So the desktop version would work just as well. Next, let's go over to risks. Unfortunately, as we're working on projects, we might discover that there are some risks out there. Those risks might, pop up and then get closed out. That would be great. But then sometimes those risks become issues, right? So we do have a place where we can track those items as they arise. There are views here. So I have this on all risks. These views can be set. So if you just wanted to see risks that were postponed in a view or anything like that, that's possible. With the way this view is set up, the existing items display here in the main content area. I can select an item and then edit, or I could create a new risk. But here, what we have is the risk form. And this is where we can go ahead and fill in information about this risk. So if there's a category, right, this risk might potentially affect our schedule or resources or design, we can select those. These drop-down options are, a combination of best practices and customer feedback, but we can always change these to match your needs. We can put in information about the due date and who this is assigned to. The risk assessment is here so that if we need to kind of measure this risk and what the impact and probability of it are, and maybe what our potential cost exposure is, we can capture all of that. And then, of course, our narrative fields, our mitigation plan, and our contingency plan for this risk, we're capturing all of that here. And because we're capturing this as part of the project, it means that this is also able to show in Power BI reports later on. Right, so the new risk option is here. Issues is very similar. We'll see the existing issues displayed here. So from this view, we can tell that, I've got some that I've requested, one that Megan's requested. Erin, you're busy working on these issues for us. And then with this page, again, we can edit one of these existing items or we can create a new item. Anytime we click on new or edit an existing item, we get to see the form and then, fill that out based on this particular risk or issue. All right. We also have a status tab, and this would be the basis of a weekly status report. So at the top, there's a status summary, and this is a summary of the most recent status report that I've entered. This is mostly read-only with a roll-up, so I can see the active issue count, and the active risk count is here too. And at the bottom, this is where you input your individual status reports. So what I can see here in this grid part is that these are the last 2 status updates I've made, right? Normally this would be, weekly or bi-weekly, however often you do your status reporting. And then of course, these for the webinar I just put in today. But each week or every other week when I go to add a new report, I would click on new and then of course, fill this in. Okay, so some of the information here is pretty straightforward, right? One of the things that we can do with this throughout the app is incorporate other parts of Microsoft's Power Platform, like Power Automate. With Power Automate, what we can do is identify who this should be submitted to, and it can send them an email with an output of what's in this status update. With the status indicators, as long as you have your KPI status indicators, which ones you would like us to include, we would add those here. And these can be calculated. So it might be that if health or anything is yellow, then overall is going to be yellow. It could also be that if anything is red, right, then this overall would be red. But the overall point is that these can be manually selected or they can be calculated. And then with this also, we can put in more of a narrative summary. So if we need to explain why our schedule was marked as critical, we can use these narrative fields to add that explanation. And the status reports also roll up into the Power BI project status report. Right, so we've got this here. We've got our new updates. Okay. And then once I save this, now we see that that last status update that I made is reflected in the status summary section. So what we've seen so far is that in PPM360 Lite, you've got options to set up, which fields you want to see, but it's meant to give you the essentials that you need to run a project. The tasks portion is, part of Project for the Web out of the box. And then what we're doing is adding these different tabs so you can capture the information that you want. One of the other things we've seen so far in this demo today is that we are able to sync this with Microsoft Teams. And in Teams, we're able to make all the same updates we would make in the browser, right? And when we save these updates, they're automatically updated in both places, right? So I don't need to worry about making an update in Teams and then making sure it's updated in the browser, right? Or in the Power App. It's all synced together. I do want to mention a couple more things, and I'm trying to keep an eye on the time. We only have a few more minutes left. One thing, just to kind of state the obvious, since we're looking at PPM360 Lite today, then there's obviously a PPM360 that's not Lite. So I just want to quickly show that, because if you need to track anything else with your project, like lessons learned or changes, you can use the non-Lite version to do that. Let's see. Of course, I opened up another Lite project. Let's go ahead and switch this. But I just wanted to kind of quickly show that if you needed additional tabs, if there is something that you're wondering about that you would like to track that you didn't see in Lite, we can easily add that as a tab for you. So you could have, this show up in any way that you need it to. One of the other things I wanted to make sure that we take a quick peek at are the reports, because PPM360 Lite does come with a report pack. And that will show you reports based on the information that you collected in the projects. So there are some portfolio level reports that'll show you a roll up of all the reports of all the projects that are in the system. So this one is more general information. There are links back to the project. So if you do see something that is concerning, you can quickly look at that project and see what's going on. For anybody that's not familiar with Power BI, it is very interactive. So if I want to look at projects in the define stage, for example, we can click there and see those. With the portfolio level reports, we can see things at the timeline level. We can see milestones. The status reports also show in Power BI. All right, so you can choose, how many entries you're seeing here, what information shows on this. The risk information rolls up into reports so that you can view those reports. And if you need to filter based on, a specific project or a specific department, as long as we're capturing that information, you'll be able to use your reports to look into that. Issues also roll up into reports. So all of this information that we're capturing, can be visible here. All right. So I think that is mostly everything, right? Being able to track these Lite project details, the options to have things like a project workflow, and then also, of course, the integration with Teams, where you can go ahead and see your project, but also take advantage of everything that you get with Teams, the ability to interact with your colleagues, and then, your list of teams are listed here, right? So all the different projects that I'm on are all listed in this view here with just teams. All right, I think we might have 1 or 2 minutes left for questions. And I also just want to kind of pop this up while we talk through any questions that are out there. Does anybody have any questions to share?
Good morning, everybody. I have a quick question.
Sure.
You mentioned there's a Power BI plugin or reports available using Power BI.
Yes, there definitely is. So what we typically
Any chance to see the sample?
The Power BI reports that come with this?
Yes.
Yes. So we could, get in touch with you and spend more time talking through some of the reports that are out there. And then what I have on my screen now, this is actually Power BI. We just have it in this view embedded within the Power app, right? So that you don't feel like you're going separately to Power BI. It's also an option to open this in a separate app, right? Or a separate tab so that you're seeing that Power BI there. But these are the Power BI reports.
Never mind. I'm just going to note really quickly, sorry, me if I can. We do have some beautiful resource reports. Specifically, one of my favorites is the availability one. I don't know if it's something you could just show them like as a teaser and then cover, a different session. But we do have, 3 great resource reports that you were asking about earlier that are great for looking at resource allocation, forecast, resources that are over allocated, and then also generic roles that can be used to fulfill those over allocated users on the heat map. But like Mia said, we can cover that in a different session.
Yes, we also have some existing webinars, and we are always having new webinars to talk more about resource management because it's a really important topic. And being able to drill down into this data and see where everybody's allocated is a major part of, running these projects. It looks like we've gone 1 minute over, but I will just kind of quickly show that we do have some options here. You can look at these reports here, and with this one, you can expand it to see the individual projects and the individual tasks that somebody is working on. And then I'll show you really quickly with resource availability. This is where we have the heat map. This could be color coded based on percentages, so you can get an idea of how over or under allocated somebody is. But here, if we look at myself on this, we get to see the projects that I'm assigned to, and we get to also quickly see which projects are causing my overallocation that we see on this report. Since we are a little bit over, I do want to take a moment to thank everybody that is attending. If anybody wants to stay on a little bit longer, we definitely can, but if you need to drop, we really appreciate you coming, and we hope to see you at a future webinar.
Yeah, Laura asked, what's the advantage of this solution versus other PM tool sets?
All right, there are several. One is the integration with Teams, right? The way that we integrate with Teams and allow you to have the collaboration and the project management tools kind of working together pretty seamlessly is a big advantage. The other is that when we have this implementation, right, we do spend time doing requirements gathering to set this up based on what your needs are. So you're seeing exactly what you'll see when you start to use it will be exactly what you specifically need as an organization. The other thing is that every implementation that we do includes training. So if you need to learn how to make field updates, how to update reports that go along with this, anything like that, you'll know how to make those updates. And once we deploy this, it does belong to you, so you're free to make those updates. We do also offer support, which is another benefit, so that we can help you long term. We are very flexible, so we do things like implement projects like this in phases. Remember, one of the earlier slides that I think Erin talked through is that we do have, one full solution, PPM360, but with that, it's modular. So if you needed to start out with our intake module, Intake 360, you could start there and then build on as you need to, right? So with all of these different portions, we can set this up in a way that fits you and your organization, right? And make that pretty simple. Megan also mentioned earlier that there are no subscriptions or anything like that that go along with this. So that is another big benefit. I should also say that when it comes to the benefits of this solution, right, with PPM360 Lite, it is very easy for us to quickly deploy this. It is a pre-configured solution, right? So deployment is really easy. We help you through things like UAT and training and hypercare support after go live. So those are all big things to mention. But I think also when it comes to the benefits of our solutions, PPM360 Lite is one thing, but remember also we do have these other areas like resource management. There are a lot of other sections in here that we didn't take a deep dive into today, but will in other webinars. But these solutions also meet the needs that are out there based on what we get as feedback from customers that are using other systems, right? The need to be able to have resource engagements and manage that. So there are a lot of benefits that we didn't really touch on today as well.
And you can also check out our YouTube page. We have lots and lots of webinars and demos that you can check out there. So
right.
Thank you everyone for coming today. We appreciate each and every one of you guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good day,
Thanks,
everybody.
Bye, guys.